All right, so today we're diving into something that I think everyone listening can relate to, and that's technical debt. It's something that can really make or break a product.
Right.
And I think especially if you felt that pressure to, launch quickly, maybe cut a few corners in the code, you've definitely brushed shoulders with this beast before.
Yeah, and it's a beast that can really bite if you let it.
Oh, absolutely.
Think of technical debt like this.
Okay.
Imagine you need to build a bridge quickly,
Mhm.
right? You could use cheaper materials and maybe even skip some safety checks just to get it done fast and get it out there.
Hmm.
But then down the line, you're constantly looking at repairs, maybe even a total rebuild.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about, the risk to anyone that's trying to cross that kind of shaky bridge.
That's a visual I'm not going to forget anytime soon.
Yeah,
So it's not just about the code itself, it's about the long-term implications for the entire product, right?
exactly. And for product leaders like you, understanding it's mission critical.
Mm.
And so to really unpack this whole thing, we're diving into Michael D. Kleinberg's article, Managing Technical Debt for Chief Product Officers. We're going to uncover why it matters and, more importantly, what you can do about it.
All right, let's get into it. So this article breaks down the risks of technical debt into four major categories, and I'm ready to hear about this rogues gallery. What's the first one?
So first one hits close to home for any product team. Speed, or rather the lack of it. Technical debt is like molasses in your product development engine.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I can see how, messy code would make it tougher to add new features quickly, but are we talking just like a minor slowdown here, or can it get truly painful?
Imagine this. You've got this killer new feature ready to launch, right?
Yeah.
Perfectly timed to steal your competitor's thunder. But wait, untangling that mess of outdated code just to integrate this new gem that's going to set you back weeks, maybe even months. Suddenly, that competitive edge, gone.
Oof.
And believe me,
This gets worse.
okay, you got my attention. Hit me with the next consequence.
Prepare for your budget to feel the burn.
Oh, no.
As technical debt piles up, maintenance costs, they skyrocket. Remember that shaky bridge? Instead of investing in sleek, new designs and features, you're stuck patching potholes and reinforcing weak spots. All those resources that could have gone into innovation. Down the drain.
It's like you're constantly playing catch-up, never quite able to get ahead of the game. Not exactly a recipe for product success, is it?
Not even close. And if you thought speed and budget were bad, brace yourself.
Yeah.
Because this next consequence can really sting your product's reputation.
Reputation. Okay, now you're speaking my language. There's nothing more valuable than a product's reputation. So how does technical debt mess with that?
Think about it. Clunky performance, persistent bugs, the dreaded app crash. Those aren't just inconveniences, they're reputation killers.
And guess what thrives in the environment of poorly maintained code? You got it. More bugs. It's a vicious cycle. Users are pretty forgiving the first time something glitches, maybe even the second.
Yeah.
But after a while,
Yeah.
they'll jump ship to a competitor with a smoother experience, and who could blame them?
Ouch. Yeah. That's not the kind of user feedback any of us are looking for. It's amazing how these consequences all tie together. Slow development leads to budget drains, which can impact quality, which tanks your reputation. It's like a domino effect.
And just when you think it can't get worse, technical debt throws one more punch. Arguably the most worrying one for product leaders who want to build for the future.
All right, lay it on me. What's the final blow?
Innovation. Or rather, the lack of it. When your team is bogged down in quick fixes and workarounds, constantly just trying to keep that existing product afloat,
Right.
there's zero bandwidth left for exploring new ideas.
Yeah. So it's not just about keeping up with the competition, it's about staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And technical debt acts as a barrier to that.
Precisely. That innovative new feature your team dreamt up, that game-changing pivot based on the emerging trends. Forget about it. You're too busy bailing water to even think about building a better boat.
This is giving me serious anxiety about technical debt, and I'm guessing anyone listening who's responsible for a product is feeling it too. But this article isn't just a horror story, right? There's got to be a way out of this mess.
Absolutely. And that's where things get exciting.
Uh,
Kleinberg provides a clear game plan for not only managing technical debt, but turning it into a strategic advantage.
okay.
It all starts with understanding what you're dealing with.
Okay, so the first step is to assess the situation. But we're talking about code here, not a messy garage. How do you even begin to measure something as intangible as technical debt?
That's where a little detective work comes in. You need to analyze your code base, and this is where I want to clarify a term for our listeners. The code base is essentially the entire collection of source code for your product.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So analyze the code base. What are we looking for here?
Think of it like a doctor giving a patient a checkup. You're looking for signs of trouble. Chunks of code that are overly complex, poorly documented, or reliant on outdated technology. Those are usually red flags that scream, technical debt lives here.
Got it. So once you've identified these areas, you can start prioritizing them, right? Because like we talked about, you don't want to get stuck just fixing every little thing.
You're catching on. And here's where it gets strategic. Prioritizing technical debt isn't just about what's the messiest code, it's about aligning with your business goals.
I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Let's say you've identified two areas riddled with technical debt. One impacting your checkout flow, the other a non-critical back-end system. If your goal is to boost sales, which one do you prioritize?
The checkout flow, obviously. Fixing a clunky checkout experience is going to have a much bigger impact on my bottom line than tweaking some internal system that users never even see.
Exactly. Aligning technical debt management with your business goals ensures you're investing your resources where they'll make the biggest impact.
This is making a lot of sense. But I have to imagine it's a delicate balance, right? Because we don't want to get so caught up in paying down this debt that we completely stifle innovation.
You're spot on. It's not about eliminating technical debt entirely. That's practically impossible in the fast-paced world of software development. It's about finding a sustainable rhythm.
So how do you find that sweet spot? Because let's be real, technical debt isn't exactly the sexiest topic to discuss with stakeholders. How do you get everyone on board with this balancing act?
Communication is key. You need to make the case for technical debt management in a way that resonates with everyone, not just the developers. This might involve using those vivid analogies we talked about earlier, the shaky bridge, the house built on sand.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how powerful those visuals can be in getting your point across.
And don't just focus on the negative. Highlight the positive impact of addressing technical debt. Explain how it leads to faster development, reduced costs, happier customers, all music to a stakeholder's ears.
It's about framing it as an investment in the future of the product, not just a cost of doing business. I like it. But even with the best intentions in communication, there's always going to be some level of technical debt that creeps in. So how do we build a culture where quality is baked in from the start so we're not constantly playing catch-up?
That's where things get really interesting, and that's where we'll pick up after a quick break.
Okay, so we've talked about tackling existing technical debt, but how do we stop it from building up in the first place? What does a clean code culture actually look like in practice?
It's all about building quality into every stage of the development process. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't wait until the roof is on to check if the foundation is level, would you?
Definitely not. You'd be setting yourself up for disaster.
Exactly. One powerful practice is regular code reviews. It's like having a fresh set of eyes, examine the code, looking for potential issues before they snowball into major headaches.
So it's like a second opinion from a colleague, but for code?
Precisely. And these code reviews aren't just about catching bugs. They're about making sure the code is clean, well-documented, and easy for others to understand.
That makes a lot of sense. The more people who can understand and work with the code, the easier it is to maintain and build upon in the future.
Now, here's a practice that might seem a bit counterintuitive at first.
Yeah.
Test-driven development, or TDD.
Okay, I've heard of TDD, but to be honest, the whole concept always seemed a bit backward to me.
I hear you. With TDD, you actually write the tests for your code before you write the code itself.
Okay, walk me through this. Why would you write the test first?
Think of it like this. Imagine you're designing a puzzle, but you design all the individual pieces and how they fit together before actually cutting them out. That way, you know for sure that the final picture will come together as intended. TDD is similar. You're essentially defining what you want the code to do up front, which leads to more focused, reliable, and easier to maintain code in the long run.
So it's like building in quality assurance from the ground up. You're not just hoping for the best, you're setting yourself up for success. I'm starting to see the light.
Exactly. And of course, none of this is possible without a team that's constantly learning and growing. The world of software development moves at lightning speed, so encouraging your team to stay updated on the latest technologies and best practices is crucial.
Because the more knowledgeable your team is, the better equipped they'll be to make smart decisions, write clean code, and avoid those technical debt traps in the first place. It's an investment in their skills and the long-term success of the product.
Precisely. And finally, let's not forget the power of collaboration. Building a clean code culture isn't just about individual developers writing pristine code in isolation. It's about fostering a team environment where knowledge is shared, feedback is welcomed, and everyone feels responsible for the quality of the product.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right? It's about breaking down those silos between product and development teams and creating a shared understanding of the goals and challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, even with the best practices in place, let's be realistic.
Mm.
There will always be some level of technical debt that creeps in. That's where the right tools can be game changers.
Okay, let's talk tools. I'm always up for hearing about anything that can make this whole technical debt battle a bit easier.
One category of tools that can be incredibly helpful is automated code analysis tools. These tools act like spell check for your code base. They scan your code, looking for potential errors, vulnerabilities, and even stylistic inconsistencies.
It's like having an extra set of eyes constantly reviewing your code, but at superhuman speed.
Exactly. Another set of tools that can make a huge difference are CI/CD tools. CI/CD stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment. Now, I know that might sound a bit intimidating.
No worries, you've got this. CI/CD, break it down for us.
Essentially, CI/CD tools help automate the process of integrating code changes, testing them, and deploying them to production. Imagine it like this. Instead of everyone on your team working on their own separate puzzle pieces and then trying to jam them together at the last minute, with CI/CD, you're constantly fitting the pieces together as you go. This makes the whole development process smoother, faster, and much less prone to errors.
So it's about streamlining the development process, reducing the risk of those integration nightmares, and ultimately getting new features and updates into the hands of your users faster. Sure.
Yeah, the CI/CD is a powerful ally in the fight against technical debt because it helps prevent those last-minute scrambles and messy workarounds that often lead to debt in the first place. And while these tools are invaluable, it's crucial to remember that managing technical debt effectively goes beyond just implementing tools and processes. It's about changing the culture, shifting mindsets, and making it everyone's responsibility to build and maintain high-quality products.
It's about making quality a core value, not just a box to check. So, with all that said, how do we measure our progress? How do we know if all these efforts are actually making a difference?
That's where tracking and measuring your progress comes in. It's not enough to just feel like you're getting a handle on technical debt. You need data to back it up. One crucial metric is your technical debt reduction rate.
So how much progress are we making in actually paying down that debt?
Exactly. You can track this over time to see if your efforts are moving the needle in the right direction. Another important set of metrics to monitor are those related to product quality, bug reports, system crashes, user feedback on performance. If you're effectively tackling technical debt, you should start seeing improvements in these areas.
Right, because ultimately the goal is to create a better experience for our users. If those metrics aren't improving, we're not doing our job.
And finally, don't forget about speed. Track how long it takes to ship new features and updates. Are you able to respond to user feedback and market changes more quickly? If so, that's a great sign that you're managing technical debt effectively.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from understanding the scary consequences of technical debt to exploring practical strategies for taming this beast. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up?
Remember, managing technical debt is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires a long-term perspective, a commitment to continuous improvement, and a culture that values quality as much as speed.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about making smart decisions today that set you up for success tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of technical debt. Now go forth and build amazing things.